It is 7 o'clock. It is appointed time to start. At this time, call the meeting to order, and we'll ask for the invocation by Commissioner Jeff Ford and the Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Kathy Danner. Please stand.
Would you pray with me, please? Heavenly Father, we thank you for this time that we can pause from our busy lives and just come and be still to hear your voice for just a few moments. We ask that you be with us in all our decisions, that we look to you for guidance. Lord, we ask that you be with our chairman, Commissioner Jack Walton, through his illness. Be with our budget director, Nina Graham, as she's away to be with her mother. And be with the family of Commissioner Beathard, who's recently lost his mother. We ask that your healing grace come to them, that they know of your presence, and they know that you are the one that can bring them peace. Mm-hmm. We ask for your wisdom and your guidance as we go throughout these decisions tonight. In the name of your Son, Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Join me in the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It is time for roll call. If you would, press your yes button and confirm.
The opponents will be here. No errors.
Didn't take.
Okay.
Yes, there we go. I'm not speaking. I'm not speaking. See Bridget. Good stuff. Thanks. Come on, Jimmy. Come on. Which one?
Commissioner, did he get it? Yeah, he's all right, call the roll.
I have 20 present, 4 absent. Commissioner Hood absent, Ricky Jones absent, David Parr absent, Jack Walton absent.
Yeah. We have heard from Commissioner Jones. He had a commitment. He couldn't make it tonight. Commissioner Hewlett is supposed to be late, but he has said he was coming. Commissioner Pear is not going to make it, and Commissioner Walton is not going to make it. So, next is approval of the minutes. They were emailed to everyone. We'll entertain a motion.
Second.
Okay. Jones and Commissioner Jones for the and Commissioner Smith for the second. Any additions or corrections? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next is citizens' communications. We did not have anybody sign up. So at this time we have 2 proclamations that were on the agenda, and we'll call on the mayor for those.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If I could, I'd ask Alan Lovett to come up. You have in your packet tonight 2 proclamations, one declaring May the 20th through the 26th as Emergency Medical Service Week, and then the other proclamation you have in your packet is declaring May 24th as Emergency Medical Services for Children's Day. I'm going to be reading the Emergency Medical Service Week and let Alan receive both of them. Whereas emergency medical services is a vital public service, and the members of emergency medical service teams are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And access to quality emergency care drastically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury. Whereas emergency medical service has grown to fill a gap by providing important out-of-hospital care, including preventative medicine, follow-up care, and access to telemedicine. And whereas the emergency medical service system consists of first responders, emergency medical technician, paramedics, emergency medical dispatchers, firefighters, police officers, educators, administrators, pre-hospital nurses, emergency physicians, trained members of the public, and other out-of-the-hospital medical care providers. And whereas the members of emergency medical service team, whether career or volunteer, engaged in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance life-saving skills. And whereas it's appropriate to recognize the value and the accomplishments of emergency medical service providers by designating Emergency Medical Service Week. By the powers invested in me here as the mayor, we do proclaim and acknowledge the week of May 20th through the 26th, 2018, as Emergency Medical Service Week in Williamson County. Alan?
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, I really appreciate the proclamations that you've given us in acknowledgement of our service to this community during EMS Week. Far cry from 1972, when your predecessors created this entity. There were two basically raised roof station wagons that were parked just outside the door here that were part of the formation of this new entity, where there were 9 employees with basic life support training and skills, basic first aid. EMS actually didn't exist. You were part of the creation of it. Fast forward throughout the 70s, we went from those station wagons essentially to the modular ambulances that allowed us to carry more equipment and have room to work in. We went from basic first aid givers to emergency medical technicians, and later became one of the first counties in the state to bring paramedics and advanced life support in a county system. Excuse me. EMS was a new hybrid entity. It was both public service and healthcare, but it seemed a little awkward in both places. The county was such a different world back then. There was not a 911 system in place. There were no first responders in place. There was no emergency management. I believe our original civil defense director had a one-man shop. But here was this animal that was this emergency service that also was part of healthcare. Well, paramedics were new. They weren't fully respected in the medical community. You had people with minimal training that were being allowed to perform skills in the streets that had previously been restricted to physicians in the hospital setting, and it presented challenges. Thankfully, in 1982, 10 years into its creation, the county government, under a new county executive and a new hospital administrator, got together and said, you know what, just like the theme for this year, we can be stronger together if we bring this and collaborate on this system and make it more wholly both public service and healthcare. And through the years, we have grown. We have went from 1 station to a total of 10 in the county. We currently have 12 staffed ambulances at peak times in the county. We have one of the most highly respected emergency medical service systems in the state of Tennessee. We were part of a pilot project and one of the charter services to provide a first responder system, which has grown now from 0 to over 400 responders. From those original 9 employees, we currently have 115 full-time and part-time. We have skills and vehicles that are way beyond what could have been imagined then. A enhanced 911 system with emergency pre-arrival instructions. It's just incredible what we have today. Looking into the future, we know that we're going to have to grow. We know that by 2040 we're projected to have over 500,000 people, and we're going to need to grow along with that. But we know that, as you have proven time and time again through the consolidation of a dispatch center for bringing people together into systems and finding new ways of creating those partnerships, just as you have in the past, we will work together in the future because we're stronger together. I thank you for the proclamation.
Communications and messages. We have 2 late filed resolutions. They were in your packet. Is there any objection to hearing the late filed resolutions? Seeing none, we will add those to the end of the appropriations section of the agenda. Next is committee reports. Mayor Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, as Commissioner Ford indicated, Nina will not be able to be with us this evening, so I will address some of the issues that she normally does and then answer any of your questions. In your packet tonight, you should have received the letter from the Comptroller, Tennessee Comptroller of the Treasury, acknowledging that once again the county was in a very strong position, and through their ratings agencies they do, and they also once again highlighted the in a letter sent to us the clean audit that we had. Also in your packet tonight you will have February budget reports along with the March 31 budget reports, and all of those are trending the way we expect them to on the revenue side and the appropriations. Also in your report you will have the privilege tax report for both February 2018 and March of 2018, outlining those adequate school facilities for our schools, recreation, fire, and highways, and they continue to actually amaze me sometimes, to continue the building that we see in our community. And finally, you will have in your packet tonight the Cool Springs Conference Center, showing that the total revenues of $723,000 was about $155,000 over budget, almost $62,000 over last year. It's a strong fiscal year that we're having. We're now $460 over budget, and $407,000 over last year. Most of the increased revenue has been taken down to the bottom line, and you can see from your report there that our total profit and loss over a period of time is outlined there. For those that have been following the budget processes this year, we are progressing along very nicely with that. The Budget Committee and the schools met, I guess it was the week before last, and we are getting closer to meeting the expectations of their request and still honoring the guidelines that were put down by the Budget Committee of not having a tax increase. Mr. Chairman, that's what I'll report tonight, and I'll answer any questions.
Any questions? Mr. Lawrence.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, Mayor. I don't have a question so much as I have a comment. I just wanted to comment on an article that appeared in one of the local papers recently regarding the Sports Authority. And I'm going to go ahead and speak for my fellow commissioners here, and they're welcome to jump in here and disagree with me or correct me if I'm wrong. But I believe what we said when we all voted on that, I think it was last year, to create the Sports Authority, was that we supported the idea of the Sports Authority bringing any type of sports program, be it professional, amateur, whatever they could come up with, that would be able to bring that to Williamson County, and to provide better, more sports opportunities for our citizens, and also bring additional visitors to our county that would boost our tourism. But we didn't intend for taxpayer money to be provided to fund it, and it seems to me like they have a little bit of misunderstanding based on some of the comments I read in the article about that. I know particularly I was concerned when we talked about letting the bonds, if the taxpayers were going to be in any way, shape, or form put at risk if allowed them to use our bond authority. And I asked council that question, and we were assured that it would not put the taxpayers at risk. So I think they need to hear the message that what we intended to do was we support the idea of the Sports Authority. And if they can come up with an idea that they can bring to Williamson County that would bring a great sports program here, we'll be their biggest cheerleaders. We'll help them any way that we can, but they need to come up with their own sources of funding, because we've got everything we can do to fund everything that we're constitutionally required to fund right now.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Commissioner Sturgeon?
Thank you, thank you. I'm just curious about the Cool Springs Convention Center. We had, supposedly we're going to get valuations in February or March, and since then I haven't really heard much about it. So can you give me an update on where we're
So during the next 30 days, Commissioner, we'll be bringing the report to the, I guess we'll take it to the Property Committee, which would be your body here that would look over the property item of the county. We'll be bringing the report, sending it out to you. There'll be 2 reports in the folder. One of them, the valuation of the real and the personal property of the actual conference center. And then the other part of it will be a valuation of the business model that was done by Lattimore Black. I think there's another name on that too, Lattimore Black and Morgan. So we'll be inviting them to come and present their findings to you at that time based on the information that they have presented to us. So you'll be seeing that in the next 30 days.
Okay, thank you.
I'm not sure who all's on the property committee. Maybe one of you could help me out, but that's something that will be coming to you.
Any other questions of the mayor? Seeing any, thank you, Mayor. Schools report, Dr. Looney. You look nice tonight.
Thank you, Commissioner Little, just for you, sir. It's good to be back in the district. A lot of things happening. First graduation ceremony begins on Thursday through the weekend. We will be burying a student of ours tomorrow. A lot of things happening in the school district. There's been a lot of action as it relates to the assessment process at the state level. Our school board has acted, and we will not be penalizing students, teachers, or schools as a result of the failed testing process. We're really excited about that. We're equally grateful to the mayor for working so closely with us to find resolution to the budget gap that we currently have. I'm very optimistic that we'll get there. We have 3 resolutions before you tonight. Each of them is very straightforward and simple. Unless you have questions, I'm going to exit the building and go to the Wilco Awards at the factory tonight. I'll be glad to take any questions that you have before I go.
Not seeing any.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Have a
sir.
good evening.
We have other committee, are there any other committees wishing to make a report? Commissioner Webb.
Turn, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As you know, I'm on the Williamson County Library Board as well as the Buffalo River Regional Library Board, and the Tennessee Friends of the Library had their meeting here the other day, and they presented this body, the Williamson County Commission, along with Mayor Anderson, their award, and the Williamson County Library Friends of the Library a cash stipend for the Williamson Loves Libraries. And I'm here to present this with Dolores. And also, I'm going to ask Dolores to just take a minute or two and tell us what Williamson Loves Libraries is all about that we won this award for. So, Dolores.
Thank you, Commissioner Webb. Williamson Love Libraries was an event planned with the Brentwood Public Library, our library, and Williamson County Schools, a couple of high school libraries. And it was to enlighten the kids about library services in their public library as well as their school library. And the statewide friends really appreciated the effort on behalf of the commissioners, on behalf of Mayor Anderson, to help put this event together. So thank you very much.
And this just goes to show to everyone what a great group of volunteers we have in Williamson County, because this was really about lots of volunteers from Tennessee Friends of the Library. Thank you, Dolores.
Thank you.
Are we going to do a photo here?
Are there any other committees wishing to make a report? If not, we'll be moving on to elections and appointments. Up first is the Visitor Bureau Board of Directors. Deceased Lou Green, nomination Beth Lothers.
Move for approval. Second.
Commissioner Smith, the approval. Commissioner Osbrooks, the second. We don't discuss, do we? Anyone else wishing to put forth nomination? If not, assume you're ready to vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations. Next is the Agricultural Committee, 2-year term expiring in 5/2020. Term expiring, Commissioner Judy Herbert, and nomination, Commissioner Judy Herbert. Hester, the motion, and Jones, the second. Any other nominations? If not, if you're ready to vote, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Disciplinary Review Board, 2-year term expiring in May of 2020. Term expiring, Monty Garnett. Nomination, Monty Garnett. Expiring, James Templeton. Nomination, James Templeton. Term expiring, Kimberly Casillas. Nomination, Kimberly Casillas. Expiring, Bob Serrano. Nomination, Bob Serrano. Expiring, Sean Luther, and nomination, Sean Luther. Is there a second? Second. Okay. Commissioner Herbert, the first, the motion, and Mr. Jones, the second. Any comments? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Equalization Board, term expiring, 2-year term expiring in May of 2020. Term expiring, Gary Darnell. Nomination, Gary Darnell. Term expiring, Stan Tyson. Nomination, Stan Tyson. Term expiring, David Coleman. Nomination, David Coleman. And term expiring, John Magger. And nomination, John Magger. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. The Health Board, 4-year term expiring in April of 2020. 22, excuse me. Do I need to announce the different positions or just the names?
Yeah, you need to read the
Positions, okay. The graduate doctor is Dr. C.A. Stillwell. Nomination, Dr. C.A. Stillwell. Graduate dentist, Dr. Gary Owen. Nomination, Dr. Gary Owen. Graduate pharmacist, Martin Myers. Nomination, Martin Myers. Doctor of Veterinary Medicine, Charles Beecham, excuse me. And nomination, Charles Beecham. Registered nurse, Rhonda Watson, and nomination, Rhonda Watson. The graduate doctor resigned is Dr. Joseph Willoughby. Nomination is Sam Baston.
Second.
Commissioner Jones, the motion, and Commissioner Hester, the second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. 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 Opposed? Okay. Dr. Baston, they said, is here. If he'd like to stand up and introduce himself.
How are you?
Thank you for being here.
You're doing good, Doctor.
Hospital Board of Trustees, 3-year term expiring in May of 2021. At large, James Bo Butler. Nomination is Bo Butler. Districts 1 and 9, Brown Daniel. The nomination, Brown Daniel. Districts 5 and 6, term expiring, Kathy McGee. Nomination, Kathy McGee.
Move for approval. Second.
I'm sorry, who is the? Lothers, the, and Herbert is the second. Any discussion? Yes.
Excuse my ignorance on regards to this, but in terms of the nominations, are those simply carrying over, or who actually put forth the nominations?
The Board of Trustees under the Private Act nominates and sends the names to you for confirmation.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, ready to vote? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Library Board of Trustees, 3-year term expiring in June of 2018. Filling unexpired terms, Marilyn Hoff resigned. Nomination, Dolores Bratton. And resigned is Shanta Murray. And nomination is Janan Morrell.
Move for approval.
Second.
Commissioner Bethard, the motion, and Commissioner Webb, the second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have the consent agenda. These were all emailed to you. They were all approved by the road committee. We have just the roads and the notaries. We'll entertain a motion.
Move for approval.
Sorry, who was the second? All right. Commissioner Lawrence, the motion, and Commissioner Hester, the second. Give you just a second to get registered in here. We're on the consent agenda. Yeah, I know that. Ready? Okay. If you're ready to vote, press your yes button and confirm. Oppose your no button and confirm. No, I know what I'm trying to think what I asked her. Record. Thank. That's a word wouldn't come to me. All right. Record the vote.
21 yes, 0 no.
Motion carries. On to the appropriations agendas. Resolution 1-18-5, resolution to transfer funds from the board received from the city of Brentwood to retire debt. Commissioner Webb, Bethard, excuse me.
Move for approval.
Okay. Commissioner Bethard, Commissioner Webb the second. Explanation, or do we get committee report first?
This one come before us?
Committee report.
I'm trying to find it.
Yeah, all right, committee report. School board was 11 yes, 0 no. Education committee?
5-4-0 against.
Budget committee?
5-4-0 against.
Okay, Commissioner Bethard, explanation?
Self-explanatory, resolution to transfer funds from the board received from the city of Brentwood to retire debt. This is a great gift from the city of Brentwood, and we appreciate it greatly.
Okay. Questions? Let's see who's.
The education chair was the reason I said that.
Oh, okay. I was trying to see lights on, but nobody's, I don't see discussion up there. All right. Hearing no discussion, are you ready to vote? If you're in favor, press your yes button. No, oppose your no button and confirm. If you wish to change your vote at this time, please do so. Okay, thank you. Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
21 yes, 0 no.
Thank you. Motion carries. Getting into the swing of things here, so bear with me. Resolution 5-18-6, resolution amending the 2017-18 general purpose school budget, $665,000 for additional special education offense. Commissioner Webb?
Move for approval.
Expenses. All right. Commissioner Webb, the motion, and Commissioner Jones, the second. School board was 11-4-0 against. Education committee?
6-4-0 against.
Budget committee?
5-4-0 against.
All right. The explanation, Commissioner Webb?
As you can see from the resolution itself, this is additional money for special needs education expenses. And we have, let's see, we have members from the school staff here to explain if anyone has any questions.
Commissioner Lawrence?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just have one question on the third whereas. It says we received extra funds for high-cost students. Does that mean we're getting money from the state for this money or somewhere else? Where's this money coming from?
94,000 of it that's indicated on there. We had budgeted 800,000 and got 894,000. So I'm using 94,000 from that source of revenue. The rest is by reducing those line items of expenditures.
Okay. So that only the 94,000 came from an outside source?
Right.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions? Not. I assume you're ready to vote. If you're in favor, press your yes button, oppose your no button, and confirm your vote. If you wish to change your vote, please do so at this time. Ms. Anderson, record the vote, please.
21 yes, 0 no.
Motion carries. Resolution 5-18-7. Resolution to transfer funds from the Rural and General Debt Service funds to pay interest on energy saving system conservation debt. Commissioner Beathard?
Move for approval.
Second.
Commissioner Beathard the motion, and Commissioner Jones the second. School Board was 11 yes, 0 no. Education Committee?
6 yes, 0 no.
Budget Committee?
5-4-0 against.
Explanation, Commissioner.
This is monies coming back to us from the program we adopted around a year ago that placed the new light bulbs in many of our schools to save money on electricity.
Are there any questions?
Who's auditing the return on investment for this again? I know it was supposed to pay for itself. It looks like it's headed that direction. I don't remember who was in charge of auditing this program so that we'd know if it was doing what they promised. Yeah.
Leslie, do you? Can you address that?
The program didn't address, but I look at it, and of course I make sure that we have gotten the savings. I look at, of course, it's based on a baseline, and it also has implied increases from year to year because of electricity increases, and they have included that in there. And then what I do is I go in, I look at the kilowatt hours. We have that done down in the maintenance department, and they are doing it also, and then we compare our stuff and come up with an agreement that there's a savings.
They being trained, is that who's doing it?
Well, we're doing it on our side through our project engineer down in the maintenance department, and then Train, yes, does it theirself, and we compare our numbers.
Okay.
Okay?
That's good. Yep.
All right. Commissioner Ryan?
Leslie, one more question for you, please. Thanks. Can you remind me, how much debt did we take on for this project?
$10 million.
$10 million. Okay, thank you. That's helpful.
Okay. And another savings that we have is that if we pay it within 5 days, they give us like a 5% discount, and so we're accumulating money with that against it too. So.
And that was just a standard 20-year bond. Do you recall?
I didn't issue it, so
I know you didn't, but-
I'm assuming that. Was it a 20-year? But yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. If you're in favor, press your yes button, oppose your no button, and confirm your vote. Anyone wishing to change their vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
21 yes, 0 no.
Motion carries. Resolution 5-18-8, resolution appropriating and amending the 2017-18 Planning Department budget by $150,000 for consultant fees to update the Williamson County Comprehensive Land Use Plan, revenues to come from unappropriated county fund balance. Commissioner Webb, thank you.
You're welcome.
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner Webb, the motion. Commissioner Lathers, the second. Committee report. Highway Commission was 5-4-0 against. Regional Planning was 6-4-1 against. Budget Committee?
5-4-0 against.
Okay, explanation.
We've got Mike here. If we have questions, you can see this is updating the plan as recommended by our consultants, and this is coming from the fund balance, but this is just a periodic comprehensive land use update, and Mike is here to answer any specific questions anyone may have.
Okay, Commissioner Kestner?
Yeah, thank you. I'm all for a land use plan update to try to create a vision that would describe what it is that we're trying to become as we more than double our population in the next 20 years. I think it's very important. Excuse me. I was very disappointed in the handling of the existing land use plan, because in section 105 of that land use plan, it states that should there be a conflict between the land use plan and the zoning ordinance, the ordinance shall be changed in order to comply with the land use plan. And that was never done. Had that been done, there would have been some reductions of density on certain parcels in this county. So I'm left wondering, is this just kind of a nice to have, or is this something we're actually going to use? And when I asked the question at one point about that provision and the applicability of the land use plan, I was told, quote, well, I'm not sure that the county ever really formally adopted it. To which I replied, well, then why in the world is it on the county's official website if it wasn't adopted? I think it was adopted. But my question is, are we going to act on it, or is this just a box-checking exercise? I hope that it's something we're going to act on. And in thinking about that, it causes me to wonder, have we ever downzoned any parcels? That is, have we ever reduced the density of any parcels, you know, due to the land use plan and any predecessor land use plan, if there was one? Have we ever done that? Or is this a one-way thing where all we might do is, in fact, increase density? So I'm really left wondering whether this is a useful use of taxpayer. I think done right, it's great, and I'm all for it, and I voted for it in the Budget Committee, but I'm concerned that, in fact, we sort of do it, and we file it, and we don't act on it, even though the language itself says that the zoning ordinance shall be changed to comply and match with the land use plan. So I'd love to hear the mayor or anybody else respond to that question and concern.
Good evening, members of the commission. I'll try to answer those questions. First, the comprehensive plan was adopted by the county. This update would be adopted by the county. We do think this is a very important update given the amount of time that's gone by since 2007. Additionally, this was one of the chief recommendations, as you may recall, from the Comprehensive Traffic Strategy report that was completed last fall. We do feel like that the comprehensive plan is important in that it sets the foundation for our planning and the implementation tools, which do include our zoning ordinance. I know that there has been some differences of opinion as to whether the existing zoning ordinance mirrors the comprehensive plan, but it is appropriate, I think, to update the comprehensive plan to reflect current values, and then after that process is completed, I do think, Commissioner Kestner, that it's important that we follow up and amend the zoning ordinance to help implement the policies if they change during this process.
Right. And I'd like just to follow on. I'm a big fan of yours, Mike, and Joe Horn also, and I agree with everything you just said. I would point out that had that land use plan been followed, had we, this body, and it's not your fault, it's not the planning department, it's this body's fault for not, this body has purview and control over the zoning ordinance. That's what you guys have. That's your most powerful tool, and I've never seen this body really use it. You know, had that plan been followed and had Section 105 been complied with, it called for everything west of Old Hillsborough Road being 5-acre maximum density, 5-acre lots, and Stevens Valley would not have been developed into 800 homes, and Hillsborough Cove would not have been developed into 20 homes on 20 acres. And so it's just a fun, you got to ask yourself a question. Don't do this. Don't spend $150,000 of taxpayer money if it's just some box checking exercise and you don't have the the discipline or the fortitude or whatever to actually follow it. If you want to do it, and I hope you do, I hope that there will be changes to the ordinance that puts in code what it is that plan then will recommend. But it's this body that has that responsibility. It's not the planning department. So you all ought to step up if you do this.
Commissioner Hester?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I do think we need to address a consultant, and I do also have a lot of faith in you, Mr. Madison, and in Joe Horn in our planning department. I agree with Commissioner Kestner. We do need to step up. We've got to do something about traffic in our unincorporated areas, and I have concerns about some of the conservation subdivisions as well. Thank you.
Commissioner Sturgeon.
Thank you. I just have, I think, 2 questions.
Yeah.
In the second last whereas, it says that how traffic is addressed during the planning process would be one of those things reviewed. And I'm wondering, I've heard you discuss it before, the shed, process of doing a traffic study. I was disappointed in the traffic study done for Stevens Valley because it made some assumptions that I thought were blatantly wrong, such as the traffic is already okay the way it is and we're going to keep it that way, where I don't believe that was true, that the traffic level on Sneed Road at Hillsborough is already uncomfortably congested. And so I'm wondering, will we change our process for planning so that they'll be using a different type of traffic study that's more suited to what Williamson County has become?
Well, there are a couple of different ways that we deal with traffic. One is a traditional traffic study. The other, as you mentioned, is the traffic shed. I think both of those need some evaluation, and I think all of those development-related policies, like the conservation subdivisions that Commissioner Hester spoke about, like the policies relative to how traffic is evaluated during the development review process, those should all be on the table. And so as policies are adjusted in this process, or following that, rather, then they'll get implemented through changes to our zoning ordinance, which would impact how we approach that in practice.
So you see that being one of the changes?
I think that is certainly going to be one of the things that's going to be looked at during this process, and that the changes would be implemented to mirror the policy changes that come about as a result of this process.
Okay. My second question was, shoot. Lost it. I'll ask you later.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
All right.
Commissioner Lawrence?
Okay, this question may be similar to what Commissioner Sturgeon brought, but and I do appreciate Commissioner Kastner bringing this up. I think he makes a great point. This is the #1 issue, at least what I heard from my constituents in the recent election. I think, unless your constituents are a lot different than mine, all of us probably heard that from our constituents, that traffic is the #1 issue. Traffic's going to follow zoning and land use plans, so this is a critical issue for us to address. So I guess my question is, could the zoning and the land use plan be amended simultaneously? Could that all take place at one time instead of waiting once we adopt a land use plan to then come back and do zoning? As my concern would be that may never happen because it didn't happen before.
Sequentially, the way it should happen is that the comprehensive plan should be updated first so that there can be a shared understanding of what the policy should be. And then we will follow suit or follow that process up right away with a zoning ordinance update so that the policies are carried out in the zoning.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mike.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Waters?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I just wanted to mention also that Commissioner Little and I are currently serving on the Triune Special Area Plan Committee, and we've just really thoroughly been impressed with the process. I've gone through this process in the municipal level and now going through the county level. I want to commend you and your staff. and we've had 60 folks from the Triune area, 40, we've got great turnout. People are very excited to have input. So thank you for how well you're doing that. So I think I would echo the other concerns that our zoning ordinance obviously reflect our ultimate plan. But just in clarification of downzoning, could you kind of maybe share with this body the awareness that any property owner can request a downzone, that we actually had that happen in Spantown in District 5?
We've actually had that happen a couple of times in the past 5 years, one in the western part of the county and one more recently in the Spantown area, where I think collectively in those two efforts there were 50 or more property owners who went in and requested that their properties be changed from, I think it was, in fact I know, it was a 1 unit per acre district to a 1 unit per 5 acre district. There were probably 600 to 800 acres, as I recall, involved in that.
Thank you.
She's already spoken, though. So. Yeah, okay, we'll come back to you because you've already spoken. So, Commissioner Mason.
Thank you. So one of the things, just to piggyback on Commissioner Lawrence, is he is correct. Going around talking to people in the recent campaign, especially in my district, which is a Spring Hill Thompson Station, so there's not any unincorporated county land in my district, was traffic. And so my question is, what is the county, if anything, doing? Is there any type of joint planning or mutual meeting of the minds with these municipalities to assist with this? Because we don't live in a vacuum. Williamson County, we have multiple municipalities, and if we're not communicating and working with them, then everything we're doing on a county level could be for naught if the municipalities aren't on board.
I think that's a good point. There are regional transportation efforts. The county is very involved with the regional MPO, and then at the county level, we've recently prepared the comprehensive traffic strategy report, and a big part of implementing that is to see if adjustments to our land use policies are needed, not only from a land use and fiscal standpoint, but from a transportation standpoint. There will also be a transportation component to this comprehensive plan update, so that the traffic experts can run traffic modeling software to kind of evaluate the potential implications of various policy decisions that would be made.
But when it comes down to it, does the county have any oversight or control over what the municipalities do, or can they do what they want and we're left funding the outcome of that, schools, roads, etc.?
And that's true to a large degree. That's why regional planning is important. But yeah, we have very little impact on what the cities do otherwise.
So what can we as a board do to get all parties to the table and make sure we're having a discussion that involves the entire Williamson County, not just the county, not just the municipalities, but everyone, and get everyone on board?
Yeah, and those discussions are taking place at the MPO level. Mayor Anderson and Mr. Horn are involved in that process.
So, Commissioner, you are right. When you look at 80%, some people say 85% of the growth that occurs within our municipalities, in this case the cities. For many years, the cities did their planning, their zoning, their roads kind of in a vacuum, and then several years ago, Joe and Mike, we started doing a much more comprehensive issue of being sure the city's major thoroughfare and the county's thoroughfare plan at least connected. It may seem elementary to say it that way, but oftentimes the two never sat down and talked. There's a lot of discussion going on at the Nashville regional area with the MPO, the RTA, but ultimately those discussions have to get down to the cities and counties, all deciding collectively, like we have done on so many other issues. I concur with you. I think for the most part that the majority of the people in Williamson County, their number one issue is traffic congestion. I even kind of stepped out on a plank last week when Davidson County went to the polls and voted on a transit plan and beat it 66 to 33. And would say that the people that I talked to after that, even though it was defeated, they didn't like the plan. They didn't like the way it was laid out. Because collectively, over the last several years, we still have people saying, how are you going to fix it? I was not engaged in the Davidson County plan, but I do know that we are constantly trying to meet and have discussions about roads. And one of those examples is what this commission body did before you came on, under the oversight of Eddie Hood and Collier Engineering, and looking at a plan for the next, I think it was 2025, Eddie? 2030. That we've committed some $25 million to that plan, and you'll see a resolution a little later tonight. It's dealing with bridges and roads and some of the Improved Act. But it's also dealing with how do we look at those four main corridors in our community. I know there's Sneed Road, Linwood Way, Clovercroft, and Arno. Arno is the one we tackled first because it had more accidents on it than any other road that we've got in the unincorporated area. And I'm giving you a long answer to a little short question, but it's a challenge to go from 840 on Arno Road, which is state, to a county road. Then you go back into the city, and then you go back into the state again. And coordinating all those elements is a very difficult thing. Going up to a 40,000-foot level and saying, what does Spring Hill want? And you represent mostly city. That Thompson Station may have a little bit of different opinion of that. Which you come to Franklin, it's a little bit different. And we are making some strides in that, but there's not an easy answer because you get the state involved also, because so many of our roads, the main roads, Columbia 31, Lewisburg Pike 431, a lot of those roads are state roads that we really can't do a lot about. I had a conversation with the commissioner in the 8th District the other day just talking about Hillsborough Road. How do you get all that done up through there? Now, Franklin Road's being addressed, but that's been a long period. Mac Hatcher, if you saw articles just recently, that's been delayed a little bit because of easement right-of-ways. But if you really go back and look at Mac Hatcher, that's nearly 50 years. It goes back a long ways, and it certainly goes back 30 years.
But the roads are because of the subdivisions and the houses being approved. It's a byproduct of that. So we can talk about roads all day long, but until we get a firm idea on what's happening with developments and housing, roads are secondary.
They are, and unfortunately, this body has absolutely zero control. You can have some influence on those cities and how they do their zoning. And that's the reality of it is.
Thank you.
You ma'am.
Commissioner Sturgeon.
Thanks, Mike. My other question was, is it possible we can change our strategy when we calculate density so that certain developments don't incorporate a lot of land that you could never build on, so that they can put as many houses in a concentrated area? So, for example, if you had 1,000 acres and it was zoned 1 house per acre, somebody doesn't just put 1,000 houses down in the bottom corner densely packed together, because the rest of it is either sloped too much or too marshy or wetland or whatever. Can we do it a different way?
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk recently about conservation subdivisions. The premise behind it, I think, is sound, where you concentrate development in certain areas, and in exchange you leave very large areas as open space. But how that's done absolutely can be done better. We've been talking about that quite a bit at the Planning Commission level recently, and that is one of the development policies, one of many that can and should and will be revisited as we embark on this comp plan update process.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Commissioner Kester.
Thank you. And this may be, I don't know if it's you, Mike, or if it's the mayor, but I never did get an answer to my question. I did downzone my farm. I got a 38.5 acre farm, and I downzoned it from 1 acre to 5 acre. But did we ever, on the basis of the land use plan, and I'm trying to remember what year it was produced, was that '07? When was it, what year was the land use plan done?
The current one was 2007, yes.
'07. So subsequent to '07, has this county ever reduced the density on any existing property owner who had a higher density?
Yes, but that was all at the property owner's request.
So the answer to my question is no, we did not force a reduction in density, and that gets to Commissioner Mason's question and all the other questions that we dance around here, and that is that we talk about this, and it's great, and it sounds wonderful. In our traffic task force that I was a member of, we talk about, gee, we could reduce from 1 acre east of I-65 to 2 acres. And my question is, does this body have the stamina, have the fortitude to do that? Because when you do that, you're going to get some landowner who's going to get in your face and say, what in the world are you doing to me? You're taking away something that I have. But this is all just a bunch of hooey if we don't grow a spine and do that. I mean, you know, it's just talk. It's hot air. I mean, talking people into reducing their density like me, that's great, but that's not, you're not going to get the result that you want through voluntary action. So y'all just need to think about that. Thank you.
Commissioner Lawless.
This may be a question for legal. My understanding in working with controlled growth in Nolensville, if you can imagine, we're for controlled growth. As citizens, we bound together, we studied the different types of development, we got an educational residential survey out. What we basically did is we removed density bonuses from the zoning ordinance, so now it's 1.8 units per acre. If we had not successfully done that before any of us ran for office, Nolensville will be almost twice the size today on the same land mass. So there are municipalities that are looking at some controlled growth efforts, but I've always been told, and I'd like to hear it from our attorney, when we talk about downzoning, you are reducing the value of someone's property. I didn't think legally, I thought that the property owner could request a downzone, but I'm not sure as a body, are we legally as a county allowed to downzone? I guess that's my question for legal.
That's a Christie question, is what that is.
I looked at the one attorney.
Commissioner, I'll try to answer your question.
Thank you.
Obviously, voluntarily, it's not a problem.
Mm-hmm.
When you downzone property, you don't necessarily reduce the value of that property, and there are lots of studies. In fact, when we went through the comp plan update the last time, there was a lot of discussion about that. Ultimately, when we went through all the public hearings, the will of the community and then obviously the will of the county commission was to maintain the densities that were in place prior to the 2007 comp plan. But there had been information, and there are studies that can show, especially in certain other parts of the country, that they based it upon, and then some in this area as well. And that's something that we'll discuss through the comp plan update, that in some areas you could take your density from 1 unit per acre to 1 unit per 15 acres, and it's not going to reduce your value, it's going to increase it. And so there are studies and there's information that can provide that. Now, whether that's going to be enough to convince property owners that that's a good enough reason to buy into it, that is yet to be seen. But it doesn't necessarily reduce the value. And then generally, it's, I don't want to get into a big takings law lecture because it's boring. But there's, as long as there's a certain amount of nexus and justification for it, and it is part of the power and the authority of the local government, then that is something that's within your authority to do.
Great, thank you.
All right, Commissioner Kessler's spoken, so Commissioner Smith.
Call the question.
Second.
Question's been called, and there is a second. To vote on the calling of a question, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Question has been called. Because if you're ready to vote on the resolution, 518-8. If you're in favor, press your yes button, oppose your no button, and confirm. Anyone wishing to change your vote, do so at this time. Ms. Anderson, record the vote, please.
Okay, 21 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 5-18-15, resolution appropriating $1,500,000 adequate schools facility privilege tax fund and amending the 2017-18 capital projects fund. Commissioner Webb?
Move for approval.
Okay. All right, Commissioner Hullett the second. Education Committee?
6-4-0 again.
Budget Committee?
5-4-0 against.
Explanation, Commissioner Webb.
As you can see here, we're buying buses and are using the privilege tax, school's privilege tax for that.
As a point, these were approved earlier as a intent to fund, and so this is just the method of funding that was picked. Commissioner Danner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So first of all, I'm excited to see that we're using some of this adequate schools facility tax for school capital. I know there was a time when we traditionally spent 100% of this fund on debt service. So this is encouraging. However, and this may have come up in the Education Committee, and I apologize, but do we know what the remainder, the balance of this, this fund will be after this payment?
Nina is not here, and the mayor's saying he doesn't have the answer right now.
Okay. I cannot believe it was not asked.
We've got about 4-7, so you're going to take 1-5 off. That should still leave about 3-2.
Okay. Do we know, do we have plans, do we know yet, to spend that on regular debt service, or do we have other capital plans we can spend?
Probably do a combination.
Yeah.
It'll be a combination of both in order to make a balanced budget. We've got to do this year.
Very good. All right, thank you.
Any other questions? I don't see any. Assume you're ready to vote. If you're in favor, press your yes button, oppose your no button, and confirm. Commissioner Sturgeon? You voting? All right. Anyone wishing to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
20 yes, 1 abstain.
Resolution carries. Resolution 5-18-17. Resolution authorizing the Williamson County Mayor to enter into a grant agreement with the State of Tennessee Department of Health and appropriating and amending the 2017-18 animal control budget by $1,700 revenue to come from state grant funds. Commissioner Webb?
Move for approval. Mr. Chair, we've skipped a number.
Yes, we have.
But maybe we can go back after we finish 17.
Can we do, is that okay? Do we just, since we've got the motion on the table, or do we need to go back already?
I think you can defer it to a specific time, which would be after the next resolution if you want to do that.
If y'all will pull your motion and your second, we'll just go back and pick it up.
I'll withdraw my second.
We'll withdraw and go back to 16 then.
Go back to 16. Yes, I turned 2 pages at one time. Excuse me. Let's get the right one up this time. Resolution 5-18-16. Resolution appropriating and amending the 2017-18 Williamson County Animal Center budget by $37,400. Revenues to come from animal control donations. Commissioner Webb?
Move for approval.
Commissioner Hullett the second. Public Health Committee?
4-4-0 again.
And Budget Committee?
5-4-0 against.
Explanation, Commissioner Webb.
As you can see here, we are going to take donations from various areas, especially the Grove Living fundraiser, and apply these for supplies and other items needed at the animal services. And our director is here if you have any detailed questions.
Any questions? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor, press your yes button, oppose your no button, and confirm. Anyone wishing to change your vote, do so at this time. Good. All right. Ms. Anderson, record the vote, please.
21 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Thank you. Resolution 5-18-17. Resolution authorizing the county mayor to enter into a grant agreement with the State of Tennessee Department of Health and appropriating and amending the 2017-18 animal control budget by $1,700, revenue to come from state grant funds.
Move for approval.
Commissioner Lathers, the motion, and Commissioner Jones, the second. I think it was. Public Health Committee,
4-0 against.
Budget Committee,
5-4-0 against.
explanation, Commissioner Webb.
You can see this is a state grant to provide low-cost sterilization for dogs and cats.
Any discussion? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor, your yes button, oppose your no button, and confirm. Anyone wishing to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
21 yes, 0 no.
Resolution carries. Resolution 5-18-18. Resolution appropriating and amending the 2017-18 Parks and Recreation budget by $72,693.18. Revenues to come from donations. Commissioner Webb.
Move for approval.
Second. Commissioner Hester, the second. Parks and Recreation Committee.
Parks and Recreation Committee did not meet. We were scheduled to meet on election day.
Okay.
We didn't get a form.
Budget Committee.
5-4-0 against.
Explanation.
As you can see, there are numerous donations from various groups for activities going on in our Parks and Recreation Committee. Details are shown on the resolution.
Any questions? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. If you're in favor, press your yes button, oppose your no button, and confirm. Anyone wishing to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
21 yes, 0 no.
Resolution carries. Resolution 5-18-19. Resolution appropriating and amending the 2017-18 Parks and Recreation budget by $44,000, revenues to come from participant fees. Commissioner Webb.
Move for approval.
Second.
Commissioner Hester, the second. Parks and Rec didn't meet. Budget Committee.
5-4-0 against.
Explanation, Mr. Webb.
As you can see, this is $44,000 received from participation fees, and this will at the Performing Arts Center, and this will be used at the Performing Arts Center.
Any questions? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor, press your yes button, oppose your no button, and confirm. Commissioner Lawrence. Anyone wishing to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
21 yes, 0 no.
Resolution carries. Resolution 5-18-22. Resolution appropriating and amending the 2017-18 County Clerk's budget by $3,500, revenues to come from reserve account. Commissioner Webb.
Move for approval.
Second. Commissioner Jones, the second. Budget Committee.
5-4-0 against.
Explanation.
As you can see here, the clerk's office needs various computer and printing equipment, and these are coming from reserves available for this coming from filing fees.
Any questions? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor, your yes button, oppose your no button, and confirm. Okay. Anyone wishing to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
21 yes, 0 no.
Resolution carries. Resolution 5-18-23. Resolution appropriating and amending the 2017-18 Election Commission budget by $4,919.80. Revenues to come from unappropriated county general fund balance. Commissioner Webb.
Move for approval.
Second. Commissioner Jones, the second. Budget Committee.
5-4-0 against.
Explanation, Commissioner Webb.
As you can see, there was some legal action after the City of Franklin election, which necessitated extra work by the Election Commission, and the City of Franklin has reimbursed the Election Commission.
Are there any questions? Hearing none, seeing none, assume you're ready to vote. If you're in favor, press your yes button. Opposed, your no button, and confirm. Anyone wishing to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
21 yes, 0 no.
Resolution carries. Resolution 5-18-25, resolution appropriating and amending the 2018-19 veteran service budget by $3,152, revenues to come from memorial brick paver sales.
Move for approval.
I have a question. Should this be 18-19? We're not in the 18-19 budget. Should this be 17-18?
That's correct. 17-18 is right.
That says 18-19.
I know,
Yeah.
I'm agreeing with you.
Okay, oh, yes. So,
It's a typo, we can fix that.
okay, that's, the resolution says 18-19, and it should be
17-18.
17-18.
All right, good
So it
catch.
needs to be corrected in the now therefore and in the title. And he says that's a typo that we can just fix. So, do we get the motion in the second?
We did.
Thank you. Budget Committee.
Budget Committee, 5-4-0 against.
Explanation.
This is for the Veterans Service Office selling memorial brick pavers, and this is to pay for those pavers.
And the mayor wanted to remind everybody of the memorial service that'll be coming up. Well, that'll be the Memorial Day at 10 a.m. at 5 Points at Veterans Park. So, back to the vote. Any discussion? If you're in favor, press your yes button, oppose your no button, and confirm. Anyone wishing to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
21 yes, 0 no.
Resolution carries. Resolution 5-18-26, resolution appropriating and amending the 2017-18 excess risk insurance in the county general fund totaling $571,779.52, revenues to come from insurance recoveries. Commissioner Webb?
Move for approval.
Okay. Commissioner Hullett, the second. Budget Committee?
5-4-0 against.
Explanation, Commissioner Webb.
As you can see here, this is the funds have been received from insurance recoveries, and thus that puts these funds back in available for more claims.
Any discussion? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor, your yes button. Oppose your no button, and confirm. Anyone wishing to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
21 yes, 0 no.
Resolution carries. Resolution 5-18-29, resolution appropriating and amending the 2017-18 Health Department budget by $500, revenues to come from donations. Commissioner Webb?
Move for approval.
Second.
Commissioner Jones, the second. Public Health Committee?
4-4-0 against.
Budget Committee?
5-4-0 against.
Explanation, Mr. Webb.
You can see this is the Walk Across Williamson donations received of $500 be used by the Health Department for other contracted services.
Any questions? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor, press your yes button, oppose your no button, and confirm. Good. Anyone wishing to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
21 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 5-18-31, resolution appropriating and amending the 2017-18 Sheriff's Office detention budget by $300,000, revenues to come from unappropriated county general funds. Commissioner Smith?
Move for approval.
Second.
And Commissioner Osbrook's the second. Law Enforcement Committee?
4 yes, 0 no.
Budget Committee?
5-4-0 against.
Explanation, Commissioner Smith.
This is required for medical services. We need additional funds in the current year budget to provide medical services for inmates at the detention center. It's hard to project in a budget year what who's going to come in, who's going to be sick, have a baby, who knows what. So we're running a little short on funds.
Commissioner Ryan?
Question for the sheriff, if I may. Sheriff, one of the things that you and your department do very, very well is when it comes to the budgeting, in terms of putting together an honest and true budget projection for the upcoming year. So $300,000 when I saw this was a big number that jumped out. Is any of this for state inmates? Are we going to be reimbursed at all from the state, or is this going to be completely on the county?
Commissioner, the biggest amount of this was for 2 individual inmates who had to have dialysis. One inmate itself was $72,000.
Yeah,
$68,000
per dialysis treatment. We were able to get one of the inmates off to TDOC in short order, and the other inmate was, we got his court date moved up, worked with the DA's office and got his court date moved up. So we only had 5 dialysis treatments for the one that went to TDOC and 6 for the other. It could have been a lot worse. I can go back to 2012, and we've never had 2 at the same, let alone 1. We went 4 years from 2012 to 2016 with no dialysis. First 6 months of this fiscal year, we had 17 that went to Williamson Medical Center and got admitted. So far, and I hate to say this, we've only had 4 this 6 months, but when you project out, I just can't tell you what's going to happen for the next 45 days. And if we don't spend the money, the majority of that $300,000 will go back into the general fund.
Okay. Thank you.
It's just looking at the projections.
Yes, sir. No, and I appreciate the explanation. I just didn't know if we could count on the state at all. So,
thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Mason?
Sheriff, I've got a question. Come on back. It's me. For inmates with chronic conditions, how quickly are we able to get them moved to TDOC special needs?
That depends. According to the bed space at TDOC, they work with us really, really well, and we try to expedite as quick as possible, but we do have to wait on that bed space, and it's totally depending on how crowded they are at the time.
And are they also requiring a conclusion of the case before they'll take them to special needs, or will they take them pre-adjudication?
They've been helping us, right?
They've been helping us.
Yeah.
We had one last year that we were looking at that had stage 4 cancer and was not convicted yet of murder, but was going to be. So they got it into special needs. Okay. Special needs is difficult getting beds, number one. But
okay.
yes, the state has been very helpful with us.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Sheriff. Thank you. Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor, your yes button. Opposed, your no button, and confirm. Anyone wishing to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
21 yes, 0 no.
Resolution carries. Resolution 5-18-33, resolution appropriating and amending the 2017-18 library budget by $16,085, revenues to come from donations, contributions, and fines. Commissioner Webb?
Move for approval.
Commissioner Jones, the second. Library Board?
6-4-0 against.
Budget Committee?
5-4-0 against.
Explanation.
As you can see here, this is from donations and $15,000 library fines, which the library will use for library book supplies and data processing.
Any questions? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor, your yes button. Opposed, your no button, and confirm. Anyone wishing to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
21 yes, 0 no.
Resolution carries. Late filed resolution 5-18-35. Resolution appropriating and amending the 2017-18 Health Department budget by $1,505.32. Revenues to come from other state revenues. Commissioner Webb?
Move for approval.
Commissioner Hullett, the second. Budget Committee?
5-4-0 against.
Public Health Committee?
4-0 against.
Explanation. Commissioner Webb.
As you can see, this is a grant, and this will be used to provide child safety seats or other restraint devices to caregivers who meet certain financial criteria.
Any questions? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor, your yes button. Oppose, your no button, and confirm. Commissioner Sturgeon? Anyone wishing to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
21 yes, 0 no.
Resolution carries. Late file resolution number 5-18-36. Resolution amending the 2017-18 Highway Department budget and appropriating $100,000 for additional engineering cost, revenues to come from unappropriated highway fund balance. Commissioner Webb?
Move for approval.
Commissioner Jones, the second. Highway Commission, 5-4-0 against, and Budget Committee?
5-4-0 against.
Explanation, Commissioner Webb.
The County Highway Department has incurred additional engineering costs associated with these additional state aid projects and bridge engineering. So this will come from the fund balance and go for engineering services.
Any questions? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor, your yes button. Oppose, your no button, and confirm. Anyone wishing to change your vote, do so at this time. Ms. Anderson, record the vote, please.
21 yes, 0 no.
Resolution carries. Resolution 5-18-9. Resolution lowering the speed limit on Chester Stevens Road, a residential road located in the Ivy Glen subdivision. Commissioner Lawrence?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Move for approval.
Second.
Thank you.
Now-
Highway Commission, 5-4-0 against. Budget Committee,
5-4-0 against.
and Commissioner Lawrence, explanation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Currently, there are 2 different speed limits in this subdivision, and basically what this resolution does is just makes that uniform, so there's one speed limit throughout the whole subdivision.
Any questions? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor, your yes button. Opposed, your no button, and confirm. Anyone wishing to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
21 yes, 0 no.
Resolution carries. Resolution 5-18-11. Resolution authorizing the Williamson County Mayor to enter into an interlocal agreement with the City of Brentwood for the construction, maintenance, and use of telecommunications towers. Commissioner Smith?
Move for approval.
Second.
Commissioner Hullett, the second. Law Enforcement Committee?
4 yes, 0 no.
Budget Committee?
5-4-0 against.
Explanation, Commissioner Smith.
This is a joint effort between the city of Brentwood and the county to construct a communications tower, which will improve our communications around the county for our law enforcement, first responders, all of those agencies, and also contribute better communication in the Brentwood area as well.
Any questions? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor, your yes button. Oppose, your no button, and confirm. Anyone wishing to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
21 yes, 0 no.
Resolution carries. Resolution 5-18-12. Resolution authorizing the Williamson County Mayor to grant an easement to Middle Tennessee Electric Membership Corporation. Commissioner Smith?
Move for approval.
Second.
Commissioner Osbrooks the second. Law Enforcement Committee,
4 yes, 0 no.
Property Committee, did they meet?
It was unanimous.
And Budget Committee?
5-4-0 against.
Explanation, Commissioner Smith.
The Office of Public Safety through Middle Tennessee Electric needs to install a pole to house a warning siren on the property, which is in Arrington.
Any questions? All right, Commissioner Jones?
I'm on the wrong one. I'm sorry. Take it back.
Right.
Give us something to look forward to.
Any questions? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor, your yes button. Opposed, your no button, and confirm. Anyone wishing to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
21 yes, 0 no.
Resolution carries. Resolution 5-18-13. Resolution authorizing the Williamson County Mayor to enter into a long-term site lease agreement with Middle Tennessee Electric Membership Corporation. Commissioner Smith?
Move for approval.
Second? Is there a second? Second. Commissioner Beathard, the second. Law Enforcement Committee?
4 yes, 0 no.
Budget Committee?
5-4-0 against.
Explanation, Commissioner Smith.
This is to lease property from Middle Tennessee Electric in Fairview for the purpose of installing another telecommunications apparatus for law enforcement and first responder communication around the county.
I think this is all to do with the new digital system
Yes.
that they're putting in the new towers up. So, are there any questions? All right, seeing none, assume you're ready to vote. All in favor, your yes button. Oppose, your no button, and confirm. Anyone wishing to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
21 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 5-18-14. Resolution authorizing the Williamson County Mayor to execute a memorandum of understanding between the Tennessee Department of Human Services State Law Enforcement Bureau. Commissioner Smith?
Move for approval.
Second.
Commissioner Osbrook the second. Law Enforcement?
4 yes, 0 no.
Budget Committee?
5-4-0 against.
Explanation, Commissioner Smith.
This is an agreement with the Tennessee Department of Human Services, Law Enforcement Bureau, and the Sheriff's Department to allow our Sheriff's Department to conduct investigation into possible fraud involving SNAP funds and EBT card usage, that sort of thing. We have to have an agreement in place to be able to do that.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor, your yes button. Oppose, your no button, and confirm. Anyone wishing to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
21 yes, 0 no.
Resolution carries. Resolution 5-18-21. Resolution setting the Williamson County Hotel Motel tax rate for the 2018-2019 fiscal year. Commissioner Webb?
Move for approval.
Second.
Commissioner Smith the second. Tax Study Committee didn't meet on it. The Budget Committee?
5-4-0 against.
Explanation, Commissioner Webb.
This is required approval each year. There's no change in the rates, currently at 4%, and this will keep it at 4% for the next year.
Any questions? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor, your yes button. Oppose, your no button, and confirm. Anyone wishing to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
21 yes, 0 no.
Resolution carries. Resolution 5-18-24. Resolution to authorize the Williamson County Clerk's Office to write off the following list of checks. Commissioner Webb?
Move for approval.
Did that Commissioner Hester, the second. Budget Committee,
5-4-0 against.
explanation.
The county clerk's office made a reasonable effort to collect these of the people listed and firms listed on this resolution and have been able to do that, so they ask that we write them off.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor, press your yes button. Oppose your no button and confirm. Anyone wishing to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
21 yes, 0 no.
Resolution carries. Resolution 5-18-27. Resolution authorizing the Williamson County Mayor to execute a lease agreement with Premier Marketing Incorporated. Commissioner Webb?
Move for approval.
Commissioner Jones, the second. Budget Committee?
5-4-0 against.
Explanation.
This is a piece of property that the county owns at 300 Beasley Drive, Unit 101. This is giving the mayor the authority to execute a new lease agreement with the current tenant.
Any questions? Commissioner Mason?
If you would look at the third whereas, I believe there's a typo. It says to lease, continue to lease Unit 103, and I think we're referring to Unit 101. So I don't know if that's a typo that needs to be changed or a motion that needs to be changed to fix that.
It's a typo.
That'd be a typo. It says that the resolution portion says that it's for the lease of 101, so I would assume a typo.
We'll just need to correct that, or somebody will.
So, any other questions? Good catch. Thank you. All right. Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor, your yes button. Opposed, your no button, and confirm. Anyone wishing to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
21 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 5-18-28. Resolution authorizing the Williamson County Mayor to execute a lease agreement with Gear Foundation Incorporated and the Book Hive LLC. Commissioner Webb?
Move for approval.
Commissioner Jones, the second. Budget Committee?
5-4-0 against.
Explanation.
Before we go to that, I will do the second whereas. We have that same 101 to 103. I'm going to say that should be 103.
No, that is correct.
That is correct. 101-103 is correct.
We own all of those units. This
Okay.
is only leasing 103
Okay.
in the next whereas.
All right, just wanted to make sure after we had the other one. All right, you can see this is the same as the previous resolution, authorizing the mayor to renegotiate a lease agreement.
Any questions? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor, your yes button. Opposed, your no button, and confirm. Commissioner Lawrence? So anyone wishing to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
21 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 5-18-30. Resolution authorizing the county mayor to execute a contract between the State of Tennessee Department of Transportation and Williamson County for trash collection grant for the fiscal year 2018-19. Commissioner Smith?
Move for approval.
Second.
Commissioner Osbrooks, the second. Law Enforcement Committee?
4 yes, 0 no.
Budget Committee?
5-4-0 against.
Explanation.
This is a grant we apply for each year to State Department of Transportation for litter services, litter pickup along our right-of-ways.
Any questions?
Yeah.
Commissioner Mason?
On the third whereas, and this is just kind of picky, but after 27,600, it says must is required. Is it must be used or is required to be used? But it can't be both.
Is required.
Okay, so must needs to be removed.
Mr. Chair, that's my question, that we can just call that a typo and move on.
Okay.
if legal concurs.
I think that's right. I'm just trying to read it and make sense of it.
It is required.
Is required.
Okay. All right, so just a typo we will correct. Any other discussion? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor, press your yes button, oppose your no button, and confirm. Commissioner Ryan, Commissioner Bethard? All right. Anyone wishing to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
21 yes, 0 no.
All right, and the resolution we're looking for. Resolution 5-18-32. Resolution accepting a donation of Lenovo laptops from the Williamson County Library Foundation on behalf of the Williamson County Public Library.
Move for approval.
Okay. Library Board?
6-4-0 against.
Budget Committee?
5-4-0 against.
And I think there's
There's an amendment. Mr. Chair, if we need to amend this, if you look at the third whereas, we want to change the 32 to a 24. And then under the fourth whereas, the same thing, the 32 will go to a 24. And then the last paragraph there now for change that 32 to 24. The foundation is donating 24 of these laptop computers, not 32. Same value.
Okay. Is there a second to the amendment? Second. Commissioner Hullett, the second. Any discussion on the amendment? When she's got it ready. Okay, so if you're ready to vote on the amendment, if you're in favor, press your yes button, opposed, your no button, and confirm. Anyone wishing to change your vote, do so. This time, record your vote, Ms. Anderson.
21 yes, 0 no.
The resolution is amended. Now back to the resolution as a whole. Any discussion on the resolution as amended? Seeing none, oops, she's got to get started. In a hurry.
Oh, now you're getting
Any discussion? Assume you're ready to vote. In favor, press your yes button. Opposed, your no button, and confirm. Okay, anyone wishing to change your vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
21 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Is there any other business to come before us? Appreciate you putting up with me. Just getting through this.
Good job.
We are adjourned.